iNFLUWURKers. My name is Summer Clark, and in this episode of the Influencer Q&A series, I'm going to be interviewing travel and adventure influencer Samantha Wragg, also known as Coco.Travels on social media. I'm going to be asking Sam a ton of questions about her influencing career, including her top secret to success and what she wants to achieve in the future. So without further ado, let's get straight into the conversation. So do you want to just start off by taking a moment to briefly introduce yourself then as an influencer?
So my name is Sam. I am also known as Coco Travels on Instagram, TikTok, and I have a blog as well. I'm a travel and adventure, I guess you would say, influencer, content creator. And yeah, I share all about my travels in the UK, Europe, and beyond. I do a lot of outdoor adventure, so lots of hiking, some water sports, bit of cold water swimming.
Oh, very adventurous.
When I can have it.
It's meant to be really good for you though, isn't it?
It is really good for you, and you feel so good once you've done it. Like, obviously, it's very, very, very hard to get in when
it's like an adrenaline thing, isn't it? Like, it gets your blood flowing.
Yeah, definitely. It's supposed to be good for all sorts, like mental health, physical health, everything like that. But yeah, no, and it's fun as well. So
I did go through a phase of doing ice baths for a while, but in the winter it's really hard, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it's so hard. And then everyone says you should do it at the end of your shower as well. Just like put your shower on to cold and
That's even harder though, going from hot to cold.
Yeah, once you've had a lovely hot shower, just make it
really
cold.
Amazing. So what is your niche as an influencer then? So you said travel, and mainly travel, would you say?
It's travel. So I haven't really got like a super specific niche because I like to do a lot of different sorts of traveling. So I do a lot of traveling by myself. So I guess like a bit of solo female traveling. And then I do a lot of outdoorsy things as well. So they're kind of my niches, but I don't like to put myself in too much of a box.
Yeah, I'm assuming your followers, you know, a lot of them are kind of young women who want to maybe travel by themselves, and maybe, you know, I bet a lot of people are too worried about doing that. Do you know what I mean? And seeing you do that and, you know, have a good time and be safe and stuff is probably really, you know, inspirational for them.
Definitely. I get a lot of people message me that have like either want to go somewhere but they don't have like a group of friends that they can go with, or they don't have a partner they can go with, and they want to go by themselves but they're a bit worried about taking the step. So there's a lot of countries that are like super safe to travel to by yourself. So I recently went to Iceland by myself.
Oh wow.
It's known to be like, I think, either one of or the safest country in the world. So it is really safe, and I also found it very safe and very friendly, welcoming. But yeah, if you don't want to start that big, you can just do a little bit of traveling in the UK by yourself. If you know you don't want to go abroad, you're a bit nervous to do that, just go. Like, you can even just go right down the road, you know, an hour away from your home.
Start small and build up, like anything, I suppose.
Exactly. So you've got the safety net of knowing you can just come home if you need to. You're not stuck somewhere.
And there are a lot of nice places in the UK. Do you know what I mean? I think people think, oh, to travel, you know, you must go abroad, somewhere different. But, you know, if you live, say, in the Midlands or whatever, then, you know, you could go up to Scotland or go down to Cornwall even. Do you know what I mean? It's still quite a way to travel. Like, that is still travelling in itself.
Absolutely, and there's so many things to see in the UK. Like, you could be travelling for years and not see everything.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think the pandemic really, like, helped, not to mention COVID, but, like, it really helped us to, like, realise that we had a lot on our doorstep. Even just when you couldn't really go anywhere, but you had to do local walks and things like that. I think people did discover a lot more than they would have before.
I actually think, you know, again, you don't want to say good things about COVID because it wasn't, but, you know, I actually think it did quite a few good things for us in that sense. You know, it made people appreciate things a bit more, and I think it did get people outside a lot more, because people, like, they were allowed, their hour or 2 exercises a day or whatever outside, and they really, like, valued that, whereas normally they'd probably choose not to.
Yeah,
but again, people want what they can't have, don't they? So they suddenly want to go outside and do stuff with that when they can't.
Yeah, and a lot of groups actually like sprung up either like just after when things were starting to open up. A lot of like outdoors groups, getting people together outside. So that is like one good thing.
Yeah, definitely. Got to take the positives, haven't you, sometimes?
Absolutely, yeah, wherever you can.
So what platforms are you active on? Which is your favourite and why on social media? And there's a lot of them these days, isn't there?
There are, and there are new ones springing up all the time.
All the time.
I had a message a couple of days ago about something called We Are 8. I've not heard of it
okay.
before.
No, I haven't heard of that.
Could be like the next big thing.
Maybe. Get on it before everyone else does.
I know, that's the thing, isn't it? There's like the fine balance of like, you don't want to be on it like when no one's on it and like wasting your time putting stuff out there, but then you do kind of want to be an early adopter to make sure that your account's there.
Yeah, it was like with TikTok. I think that was a kind of pandemic-y thing as well, wasn't it? It kind of came about during that time, and people were sat at home and decided to make videos, and then they've stayed on it since. And I'd say they're the ones with bigger followings.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I kind of did miss the boat a little bit on TikTok.
Me too.
I was like I feel like I'm a bit old for it maybe, but not now, because I feel like more and more people are on it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It started off just like kids dancing, wasn't it? Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not going to be dancing on
TikTok.
No. It's not my vibe.
But now it's like people use it for, educational content, all sorts, like vlogs, everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am on TikTok now. I'm on Instagram, and I have a YouTube channel. My Instagram is probably like my biggest following and most engaged following on there. So that's my favourite for that reason, even though it can be a very frustrating platform.
Yes.
As I'm sure everybody knows. But when you get something that's good and it like gets a lot of traction, it's really great to see on there. So you can have a lot of success on there.
Yeah, and I feel like having that, like you said, it's your biggest following, having that sense of community on a platform helps make it your favourite as well. Because I think that's really what social media is about, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think kind of like having more of that interaction, like with my audience and things. So on TikTok, I'm putting content out there, and I'm like getting a few comments and stuff, but there isn't really that like loyal sort of following. Like,
not like the same people.
Yeah, the same people. You get a lot of messages. I feel like a lot of people, I actually know them, even though we haven't ever met in real life.
Yeah.
And things like that. And there's like the broadcast channel and things like that, which is another nice way of like talking to people on there.
I feel like there's just more to do as well. Like there's a bit of everything on Instagram, isn't there? Whereas TikTok is mainly just videos. I think they do have lives and stories now, but again, Instagram had it first, if that makes sense. And then YouTube's the same. It's kind of just mainly video. Whereas Instagram, you can do a bit of everything. Like you said, broadcast channels and like those. Is that like the group messages that they brought out?
Yeah. So it's basically people can't reply, so it's a bit strange.
Okay.
So you're just putting things out there. But I find it really useful for like asking people what kind of content they want to see, and just you can do polls and things through there, and also things that maybe like I wouldn't put on my stories necessarily, but I might just want to tell, because obviously they're my most engaged followers. They're like my proper community. So like if I have something personal going on, I might just put it on there. I don't necessarily want like all my followers to see that I've got something going on, but I might just tell them, if that makes sense. Yeah,
almost like a close friends list, like a version of that, isn't it? Yeah. So only the people that like really care are seeing it. Yeah.
The weirdest thing is you can't actually see who's in it, and you can't see who's like interactive. So they can like your posts and things, but you can't see who has done it. So
okay, quite anonymous then. I bet people love that though. That's so cool. So how long have you been an influencer for then? Or, content? How long have you been creating content?
Well, so I started many, many years ago. So after I finished uni, which is going back a few years now, probably nearly 15 years ago.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. So after I finished, I wanted to be a journalist. But it was the time of like the recession, so there were like no jobs anywhere or anything. So I was doing a lot of work experience and things like that. And then my brother suggested to me, like, why don't you start a blog? And blogging was like, it was quite small back then. There wasn't like all the communities and things that there are now. So I did start writing a blog then, and it was more like online diary. Anything like that you get now. So I was writing that, and then I was doing that for years, just sort of small time alongside jobs and stuff. And then a few years ago, I decided to just write about travel because I realised that was what I was really passionate about. That's what I love to do. So I started just writing about travel. And then in 2020, at the beginning of the pandemic, I decided to go full-time content creator.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
I know, I'd already handed in my notice sort of before everything started kicking off.
You may as well, you've got to take some risks, haven't you?
That's what I thought. I was like, well, you know, if I need to, I could probably find another job.
Yeah, for sure.
But like, I might as well give it a go now. Like, I've committed to it now.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
haven't looked back since, so it's
amazing. It all worked out then.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think what you said about, you know, you found what you were really passionate about and concentrated on that. I think that's super important online because, you know, you talk about things you're passionate about with more sort of feeling and more enthusiastically than, you know, than writing about things that you're not as passionate about. So I think that's another way to, you know, really get a good following and have a good presence online is to just focus on what you actually care about.
Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of easier to create
around
content things that you love.
Yeah.
You would probably be doing it anyway. Like, if it wasn't your job, like, I'd still probably be going away and, like, doing stuff. So.
And it makes it feel less like a job then, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a fine balance because it's hard to switch off. So if I go on an actual holiday, then I still am, like, taking pictures and taking videos and stuff because I feel like I can't miss the opportunity.
Yeah,
of getting content.
And you don't exactly have office hours, do you, when you're like, that's your work, if that makes sense?
Yeah, exactly. So that can be tricky because it can sort of just run on and on. Like, there's no starting and finishing time. But yeah, I think, like, the first year that I was doing it, I was working, like, flat out. Like, I almost worked too hard. But I was doing too much and taking on too many things. And then, like, after that, I kind of slowed down a bit and sort of reevaluated what I was doing and why that I had gone freelance in the first place, which was to have a better, like, work-life balance.
It's easy to lose sight of that, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And especially when you're getting things come in, it's really hard to say no because you don't know when you're going to get your next sort of...
Exactly, yeah. And you don't know where it's going to lead either, so you're like, oh, I've got to give it a go.
Exactly, yeah. So I think there is really that difficulty at first, but then kind of stepping back and thinking about what you actually do want to do.
Yeah, definitely. But as far as blogging goes, like, I think that's how, you know, before social media became such a big thing, I think most influencers did start off with blogs, didn't they? Because, like I said, Instagram and that barely existed, you know, like not that long ago. So did you go full-time, did you create social media accounts and build them up before you went like a full-time content creator, or was it just your blog to start with?
So I had social media accounts as well.
Okay.
Mainly, probably just Instagram and Facebook, you know, because I think that was probably before TikTok. Big. And I did have a YouTube channel, which I still have now, but I was doing, like, long-form video on that as well. They're not very good, so...
Everyone's going to go and have a look anyway.
just for a laugh. But yeah, so I kind of do want to get back into YouTube, actually. But it's such a kind of big thing that I'm going to plan out how I'm going to do it and get back into it rather than just...
And they're so long, aren't they? Like, the editing, even for short form videos, editing takes forever. So, like, it is a big commitment, but people do love it. And I think it's good to have a balance between long and short form content as well.
Yeah, definitely. And it's also good to have, like, a diverse, like, portfolio of different channels and things. Because some brands that you work with will want certain things. So, like, if you could provide a bit of everything, then that's probably good. Obviously, you've got to be good at them all.
You got to show brands that you can do a bit of everything.
Exactly.
More likely to get chosen then, I reckon. So how did you become an influencer within your niche then? So you've kind of already covered this. So you went to uni, wanted to be a journalist, and then started the blog off of that mainly, and then it all went from there.
So once I, like, had decided that I was just going to do travel, so I obviously just first started writing about the travels that I was just doing myself. And then I kind of got a lot of it is about sort of networking with different bloggers and content creators in the same niche as well, like following a lot of people who were doing a great job on there. And then also like any sort of agencies or companies that were working with travel bloggers. I was trying to get myself signed up to all of those. I was did a lot of like education stuff. So like obviously at the time everyone was working from home, so there was loads of like webinars and stuff that I was joining about different travel kind of things. Just basically learning everything I could from other people who were already doing it and seeing where I could take lessons from them.
Taking inspiration.
Yeah, definitely. Seeing like what they had done great and trying to not copy but do similar.
I was going to say, did you find it hard to sort of take inspiration without looking like you're doing the exact same thing, or does it come quite naturally to, put your own twist on things?
Yeah, sometimes it is quite difficult, I guess, because there's a lot of content out there that's very similar, and there's only so many things you could write about.
Yeah, you can't be completely original, can you? It's impossible these days.
A lot of times it's been done before, unless you're the first person to visit somewhere, which is very unlikely.
Exactly.
But yeah, so it is tricky. There's a lot of things that you do have your own ideas for just naturally, like you might be going somewhere and you just think, oh, that would be brilliant, or this would be brilliant. So a lot of things do just come up quite easily, and then you do take inspiration from things that other people have done. Obviously not copy them, but you might think, oh, that was a great idea, like I've got that, but something that's more like hiking focused. Or
Yeah. Amazing. Did you do journalism at uni then? Is that what you studied?
I did English at uni.
Okay.
So I did language and literature. And then I was sort of alongside when I was at uni, I was trying to do a lot of placements. So I did I did them at like local newspapers, and I did some at like magazines in London. I did one at like ITN News. I was
wow.
I
bet that was exciting, yeah.
It was so fun.
That's so cool.
I met the newsreader Jon Snow, which I was
wow. God, you're really out there. I bet that's great experience as well, as far as like confidence goes, even, because obviously to be a social media and online presence, you've got to have a sense of, you've got to be confident, and I bet those experiences really helped that.
Yeah, definitely. And I was actually quite shy when I was younger, which when I say that now, people are like...
Yeah, I'm the same. And then people are like, you sure?
People are like, were you there? But I actually was. I was quite shy.
The more you do things, though, you just get used to it, don't you? And it kind of comes organically.
Definitely. And that really helps, because a lot of the time with, like, content creation, you're talking to different people, like trying to speak to brands or... I don't know, other people that are in like the industry and networking and stuff. There's a lot of that in it. So you do have to be quite confident.
Yeah, definitely.
To, go up to people and talk about yourself. It's quite hard to talk about yourself.
Yeah, it's putting yourself out there, isn't it? You're almost advertising yourself constantly, but you don't want to come across like you're being big-headed. So it's hard, isn't it? But you just got to do it, I think.
yeah, definitely.
You don't get unless you ask.
Yeah, definitely. And the confidence, I think people are becoming more and more comfortable with not necessarily bragging about yourself, but shouting about your own achievements.
Yeah.
Because a few years ago, you'd be like, oh no, like,
but you should, to be honest. If you've worked hard for something, like, you're entitled to that. Like, why not?
Definitely.
So what would you say is the secret to your success as an influencer then?
Oh, if you
talking about speaking highly of yourself.
I don't know. I guess just a lot of hard work. Like it is, I guess, easier than some other jobs. I mean, I'm not like being a nurse and like doing
that's
really hard. But it is. You do put a lot of work into it. There's a lot of learning. Like things are changing all the time with social media and different marketing, the algorithms on the channels.
Oh, nightmare, the algorithms.
Exactly. So you've got to try and keep up with all that kind of stuff as well. I guess the secret is just working hard. There's a little bit of like luck, I guess, involved with some things, because sometimes an opportunity might come up and it works out really well. So like there's a bit of that, but a lot of it is just down to like putting the hours in and working hard, I think. Yeah,
and I think as well, like, you're not gonna like, I don't know about you, but how long did it take you to get a substantial following? Because a lot of times it takes forever and people give up before they reach that point, but it does come. It's just a long process, and it's about being patient and kind of working through the sort of
slump, if that makes sense. Even if you don't see rapid growth, it's just staying consistent, isn't it? And not losing, getting discouraged.
Yeah, and I would say even now, like, my following isn't that amazing. Like, I've not got like 1 million followers or anything like that. But like, it does grow slowly and surely. And I think, not that that's the best way to do it, because there is no best way to grow a following, but it just means you definitely know that your followers are engaged because they're following you specifically for the content that you're putting out. And I think just trying to stay true to yourself is really important, and like putting out content that fits with like what you're all about, rather than just kind of
authentic.
Being authentic is very important.
And I think engagement is, in the big scheme of things, more important than follow account anyway, because you could have 1 million followers, but none of them comment or like on all of your posts, or you could have, say, even just a couple of thousand, and they all like and comment like every time you post, and you've got that little group there. So I think engagement is key.
Yeah, definitely. I think brands are becoming a little bit more aware of that now as well. So probably a few years ago, they'd just look at your follower number and be like, great, he's got 100,000 followers. Like, we'll definitely want to work with them. Whereas now, like, some of those massive influencers aren't getting that sort of engagement that a smaller influencer might get. So I think, they're becoming really wise to that.
And I think even words like engagement and demographics and stuff wasn't even a thing when the social media platforms first came out. Like, all you had was your followers and your likes, really, wasn't it? So it's developing in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, and that's interesting as well about demographics. So I do quite a bit of work with like local businesses because I have a very local following. Some of them, like a high percentage of them are local. So like for those kinds of things, people that are looking at that demographic, it's so much more important to look at that rather than follower numbers.
Yeah, definitely.
Together in conjunction. But yeah, there's no point if you're a local business, there's no point going to someone with 1 million followers that hasn't got any in
exactly, because nothing will come out of it, will they?
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. So what are your current goals then as an influencer going forward?
Oh, so my goals. So I kind of have written like measurable goals down at the beginning of the year. So I don't ever normally do this, but for some reason this year I was like, I am gonna put some serious goals down.
Yeah, like New Year's resolutions almost, but for social media.
Yeah, exactly. So I would like to grow my following on Instagram a lot more. I want to definitely try and pick up TikTok a little bit more. So at the moment I'm kind of just doing like the same sort of thing that I'm doing on Instagram on TikTok.
Yeah.
So having a bit of a better look at that and seeing like what sort of content I can put on there that would work better than what I'm currently doing. And I would like to get back into YouTube, like I said.
Yes, definitely.
And big part of that is because the opportunities for monetization on YouTube are really, really good through the ads and things like that. So I would really like to do that. So yeah, I've got a couple of goals that I'm working towards.
Cool. I think it's good. It's always good to have them written down as well. Like you said, writing them down at the start of the year, and you can keep track of it easier. Do you know what I mean? Than if you just have a few floating around in your head, you might forget. Or do you know what I mean? It kind of keeps yourself accountable.
Yeah, definitely. And I think in previous years, I kind of I haven't really known sort of what my goals are or what I'm kind of working towards. So I've been putting content out there and things like that.
Yeah.
And then last year my goal was like to hit 10K on Instagram, and that was like my only goal. So I just really focused on that.
Yeah.
And then once I hit that, I was like, oh, great.
What's next? Yeah. What are your strategies for increasing follow account then? Do you have anything in place to sort of do that, or?
A lot of consistency.
Yes.
So I was posting every single day on Instagram. I was mainly doing reels, but I was doing a mixture of reels and static posts as well. But yeah, I was posting every day at least once on the grid, and then I was also posting stories every day as well. But yeah, I think just consistency really.
Yeah.
I did a lot of things with brands where I did like the collaboration posts, and that's really good because obviously if they've got a large following as well, it will appear on their feed. So that's really helpful. A couple of things that happened that helped to boost me on there was I had an advert that somebody white labeled through my account that I created the content for.
Oh, okay. So like
Yeah,
UGC content, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll tell you the story. So,
yeah, go on then.
I went to a festival as with a brand,
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't pay me to go. So there was no deliverables, like I could post about it if I wanted to.
Okay.
But I made a reel out of it anyway because it was great content. And then afterwards, they got back in touch with me and they wanted to buy the rights to the reel.
Okay.
So I agreed to that, and then they wanted to white label it through my account. So basically, it just boosts it to different people on Instagram, but they pay for it. They do all the management for it, but it just looks like it comes from your account.
Oh, cool.
So that was good because I don't ever put any spend behind ads myself. So I don't really, well, I haven't really got the budget to do that.
Yeah.
But so they did that for me, and it reached new people that I wouldn't have reached before, and then that ended up like boosting my followers a little bit as well.
Oh,
and
cool.
So when I had that, I was also skiing at the same time. So
I was
on a ski trip, and I had loads of content from that, obviously, and that did really well. So it was like a combination of like those things happening at the same time.
Okay, good timing.
To like quite a lot of new followers. Yeah, really. Yeah.
Collaborations are great though, aren't they? Like you said at the start of this, I think like networking with not only other brands but other influencers with similar niches. It just because then it's kind of like you get exposure to their followers, they get exposure to yours and stuff like that. So that's really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got loads of friends that are also content creators as well.
Oh,
and,
perfect.
Everyone's super supportive, and like anyone that I meet, if I then follow them on Instagram, they know I'm going to be commenting on every single thing that I see of theirs.
Did you meet them online then?
Some I either met online or I was following them, and then I've met them at events. So like I've got a very close group of friends that I have met in real life, and then others that I've just met online, and I'm just like friends with them online. So yeah, a mixture. Really.
Do you mean influencer events then? Can't get my words out.
Yeah. So I go to quite a few different things. So there's like local events that happen near me. So there's these two podcasters, and they run quite a lot of really good events. So I've met quite a few people through that. And then a company called Traverse, they do a lot of travel blog events. So I've met a lot of different travel content creators through there. Oh,
cool. I bet that's really fun. And obviously helps get you out there as well.
Yeah, definitely. Every time you go to like an event like that, you do end up with new followers just of the people that you've met. And
and genuine as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like I follow travel content creators, not just because I'm like, I want to see what they're creating, but also because I want to see what they're doing.
Yeah, no, exactly. You're genuinely interested in their life.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. So where do you see yourself as an influencer in 5 years' time? This is so hard because so much can happen in 5 years. Like, it's silly.
The landscape could be completely different in 5 years compared to what it's like now. I'm hopefully like just doing the same, like a lot more successful, hopefully. I'd like to be doing a lot more press trips. So I've done like quite a few like in this country. I'd like to do a few more abroad. Hopefully in 5 years I'm getting paid for those every time.
Yes, definitely.
I guess just doing the same but a lot more
on a bigger scale.
Yeah, definitely.
That's great. It shows that you are loving what you're doing at the moment. You still want to be doing the exact same thing. Just grow it, absolutely. I suppose.
Yeah, and I don't think I can't necessarily see myself changing anything in terms of like what I'm doing at the moment. I think just growing it would be
exactly
amazing.
Cool. And I think that's sustainable as well.
Yeah,
amazing.
Definitely.
So what is your dream brand to work with then? Is there one brand that you think I would love to work with them one day?
Yes. Well, there's a couple. So like I would love to work with G Adventures.
Okay.
So they're like an adventure tour company, and I'd love to do like an amazing big adventure like Everest Base Camp or something.
Oh wow, yes, that would be great.
Yeah. That would be incredible. So yeah, just putting it out into the universe.
Manifest it.
And then it's sort of like outdoor clothing wise, I would love to work with Roxy. I've been saying this for the past few years. They're like one of my favourite brands, and I would absolutely love to work with them. But yeah, and any brands that are outdoorsy really would be a dream.
Awesome. Are you working with any brands at the moment, or in the past? What are your favourite brands you've worked with before?
So I work with Akai Outdoor Wear. I'm an ambassador for them, and I absolutely love their outdoor wear. That's why I'm an ambassador, really, because I really believe in their products. Like they've got the best trousers for outdoors. Like they're amazing.
Cool.
So I work with them. I have worked with Adidas before, which is
cool.
Obviously amazing.
That's big,
that's really big. And they've got a really great brand of outdoor wear too. So yeah, they're great. I've worked with Jet2 on press strips, and I'm working with them again next month. So that's great.
Some big names in there.
I know, yeah. when you talk about it, you're like,
yeah. When you put it all together in one sentence, you're like, oh wow.
yeah. Oh, I have done well.
Yeah. Awesome. That's so cool. And I think it's really important as well you probably do the same thing, only work with brands that you actually, endorse, in the sense of you actually genuinely recommend them and use their products. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like there's some influencers that would work with any brands just to get a brand to work with, if that makes sense. But do you tend to just stick with the ones that you actually would use anyway, that you truly believe in?
Yeah, I do. I think and I always try and keep it to either really travel and outdoors focused, or something that I would use anyway.
Yeah.
So, for example, I've been working with a brand of period pants. And
okay.
Obviously, they're not really travel related, but I absolutely love them, and I
still
use them
helpful,
myself.
yeah.
and they're sustainable.
Yeah.
So that's another important thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think when you see some influencers doing teeth whitening and things like that, maybe they do believe in that kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe they use that anyway, but
yeah. I mean, each their own.
Yes, that's it. As long as it's true to them.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I do try and keep it to the things that I would. I mean, I'm not saying if I got offered £1 million to do it.
I mean, yeah, you'd be silly to turn that down, really, wouldn't you? Amazing. So last question then. What is your best piece of advice for those wanting to become or grow as an influencer within your niche? So to summarise it all.
Okay, so best piece of advice. I would say meeting people and networking with people. It doesn't necessarily have to be brands, can be other content creators. That's helped me a lot, even just people introducing me to other people, or hearing about opportunities and letting me know about opportunities, that kind of thing. But yeah, I'd say it's not a lot of who you know, not what you know, but
it does help.
It does help having relationships with people, and then working with brands as well. A lot of that is about building really good relationships, so that they then think of you when something comes up that would be a good fit for you. So yeah.
I suppose, the nicest thing would be to say work with the brand once and then, have a good relationship with them, so that their next campaign they think of you again, and you do multiple things for them instead of just the one-off.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, like you said before about working with brands that you really believe in, that constant posting about the same brand kind of cements that. Obviously you don't want to be posting all the time how great they are and stuff like that, but
it's a fine line, isn't it, between appearing like you're just one big ad.
yeah, exactly. Well, that's another good piece of advice. I think to do your own content as well, and not just have everything as an ad, because sometimes it does look a bit oh, they're just getting paid to say that.
And people get fed up, don't they? So they probably unfollow if it's constant.
Yeah, definitely. So trying to do a bit of your own stuff as well. I know it's hard when you haven't got all the time in the world, but yeah, having your own ideas about things as well.
Yeah, mixing it up. It's all about, keeping your followers on their toes as well, isn't it? So they're don't be too predictable. It's again, it's another fine line between staying in your niche and then mixing it up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you can't post 100 videos of, pretty much the same thing.
Exactly, that's it.
Interesting and
for sure.
People.
Amazing. Well, that is all of the questions. I think you did a great job there.
Thank you. Thanks so much. lot.
And there we have it. That was my conversation with Samantha. Massive thanks to Sam for coming on and chatting to me today. That was a super interesting conversation. Make sure to follow Sam and us here at iNFLUWURK on social media. The links will be in the description below. And if you're an influencer and want to get involved in our influencer Q&A series, simply pop an email over to summer@influwurk.com and we will talk about scheduling a call. Happy influencing, and I'll see you in the next one.